and walk around with your opportunity because you wanted to do it. I know David's a man after God's own heart. He's anointed. But here we see David in a state of shock. He's in a state of shock. David, you anointed, but you shocked now. He's got the position, but I see he's subject to error. And the second reason, watch this, the first reason that David loses the ark is because he does not pray first. The second reason that David loses the ark, watch this, is he mimics a pattern that he's not anointed for. Because if you do your research on the text, David puts the ark on a new cart, and he puts it on the oxen, and the oxen transports the ark. So I asked myself, and David did not fire. And some of us are following patterns. You got it just because they did it, and they made it through, don't mean that you're going to be able to do it. I remember when I first started pastors, one is going on to glory. Fathers are pastors, uncles are pastors and bishops, cousins are pastors. So when I first started pastoring, I was trying to pastor like them. I thought I could talk to people like them. I thought I could handle things like them. I thought I could run my church like them. Until one day I started experiencing a great exodus. And I asked God, I said, God, what's going on? It worked for my granddaddy. It worked for my daddy. He says, you forget, you don't have their grace. You don't have their grace. What is grace? It's when God leans in your direction. What is grace? God's unmerited favor. And the area they got favor in, you don't have favor in. So you got to get down on your knees and you got to pray for divine instruction and divine guidance so you can win. Look at your neighbor. Say, neighbor, I can't pattern myself after just anybody. He mimicked Saul, and now he's sitting in the seat of disappointment, and Saul is laying in his grave. Saul did it, nobody died, but as soon as I do it, one of my main men died. God, you're not fair. God says, no, I'm not fair. I'm merciful. He says, don't use the word fair with me. Call me just. He says, I'm a just God. And my brothers and sisters, have you ever witnessed someone achieve success by doing something, and then as soon as you tried it, you flunked at it? Yes. Okay, you looked at them and you said, man, if they can do it, I can do it. Oh, see, y'all sitting up here like y'all ain't never did that. I guess I rode that bus by myself, huh? Some of y'all are so sanctified that you always pray before you did something. But I'm a young guy. I'm looking to see who's doing it. And if they doing it, I tried it. But I learned that before I tried, I gotta pray first. Before I try, I gotta seek God first. But watch this, church. He loses the ark because he does not pray first. He loses the ark simply because he mimics the wrong pattern. But thirdly, he loses the ark simply because he has somebody on his staff that has a familiar spirit.
Whoa! Hear ya! Hear ya!
Familiar spirit. Uzzah, who was the son of Ebenezer, before David goes to retrieve the ark, he retrieves it from the house of Ebenezer. When he gets it from Ebenezer just so happens to be the father of Uzzah, the one who dies when he touches the ark. Uzzah, they walking. And the oxen, watch this, familiarity. Now oxen trample on wheat on the threshing floor, that's their normal practice. So when the oxen hits the threshing floor, it's a place where they're familiar. But when they hit the threshing floor, all of a sudden the place that they're familiar with stumbles. Not only do we see familiarity in has assumption that because he's lived with the ark, he walked past the ark in the living room. He said, there go God right there. Every morning he wake up, he walked past the ark. It's right there in the house. Every morning when he gets ready to go eat his breakfast, he walks past and the ark is there. So he becomes acclimated with the presence of God. So watch this, that when the ark is being transported, he feels that if anybody knows how to handle the ark, it would be me. I've been living with it all this time. I've seen it every day. I know how it handles. So when the ark hits the threshing floor, he feels that it's his obligation to keep God from. He feels that it is his responsibility that when the oxen stumble, that just in case the ark falls, he has to catch it. But the last time I checked, God didn't need no help to keep from falling. You don't believe me? Ask Paul. Paul said, now unto him that is able to do what? Keep you from falling. So instead of you trying to help God not to fall, you need to ask the Lord, Lord, help me not to fall.
Yes, sir.
But when I read the text don't tell me that he does not need any help. He's so omnipotent. He does not need any assistance. He's so himself. So when we think that God may fall, God will always confirm, I'm not the one that was crying out, Lord, save us in the midst of a storm on the ship with the disciples. He says, I'm not God, and I'm God all by myself. I don't need any help. So we find David in a place of despair. We find David in a place of disappointment. We find David sitting on the side saying what? Instead of me wallowing in my despair, instead of me wallowing in my disappointment, I'm going to go back and get the ark and bring it on to the city of David. What am I saying, church? Just because you lost it don't mean that it got to remain lost. You got to understand that there's some things that when you lost it and find it again. You may have lost some joy, but lean over, tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, you got to go back and find it again. Just because you lost it does not mean that it has to remain lost, because the Bible says that the ark sat in the house of Obed-Edom for 3 months, and after 3 months, David, he regroups, he gets his mind together, he gets down on his knees, he said, Lord, I need your help. He said, Father, I stretch my hands to thee. No other help I know. If thou withdraw thyself from me, whether shall I go? He gets his mind together. He gets his thoughts together. He prays and he gets instruction from the sovereign God. And God gives him permission to go back and get what he lost. I'm so glad that when David went back and he got the ark, the Bible says that when he got the ark back to the city of David, the very thing that made him cry, made him shout, the very thing that made him disappointed, Say, neighbor, I'm ready for the glory. If you're ready for the glory, open your mouth and lift up a shout. Shout to the Lord with the voice of triumph. Everybody, anybody, scream, shout glory. Glory.
You just go ahead and soprano like that?
I'm talking about glory, because when the glory shows up, you will run down to the altar. Say, what must I do to be saved? I want the glory back. 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 Is there anybody that wants the glory? Wave your hand if you want the glory. Wave your hand if you need the glory. Gotta have it. Hold on. The glory's coming. The glory's coming. I said the glory's coming. Y'all don't act like you ready for it. I'm going to say it again. The glory's coming. Watch this. Because this is what the Lord showed me. Chapter 13, David loses the ark. But chapter 16, the ark is recovered in the temple, the tabernacle. Can I tell you something? And this is prophetic, and this is for those of you that catch it. And when you catch it, you'll respond with a shout. But the Lord literally told me to tell second Ebenezer,